All right, everyone, get ready for a deep dive. Today, we're going to explore Pee-wee's Big Adventure.
Oh, yeah, a true cult classic.
Definitely. And we'll uncover what makes it so unique and why it still resonates with audiences all these years later.
Sounds good.
So we're going to unpack its origins, dive into its most memorable moments, and of course, talk about the creative minds behind it all.
The trio, Paul Reubens, Tim Burton, and Danny Elfman.
Exactly. Now, think about it. This film actually emerged from the world of live performance.
Yeah. Imagine going to a show, expecting stand-up, and suddenly you're thrown into this bizarre, hilarious world of Pee Wee Herman.
It's true. Pee-wee started as a stage character.
Created by Paul Reubens.
Right, and his show became a sensation, drawing in this, cult following who just loved his unique style of humor.
They were captivated. And that's where Warner Bros. Steps in, seeing the potential for something big.
Yeah, they saw something special,
Yeah.
and they chose Tim Burton to direct.
Who was relatively unknown at the time.
Can you imagine this bizarre project handed to a young director with a very distinct vision?
It was a gamble, really, but one that definitely paid off.
Big time. And talk about a perfect match.
Burton and Pee-wee.
I mean, Burton's visual style, all those quirky sets and that dreamlike atmosphere.
Yeah, it fits so well with Pee-wee's offbeat personality.
It's like those skewed camera angles and the way color is used to create this, what's the word, unsettling yet playful feeling.
Like you're stepping into a child's drawing, but with a touch of the, maybe a bit of the macabre.
Exactly. And Burton, he was already a master visual storyteller from the start.
You can see his signature all over this film. Like, take the opening dream sequence, where Pee-wee imagines himself as this champion cyclist.
Yeah.
They used forced perspective and those miniature sets to create this exaggerated sense of scale, making it both whimsical and technically impressive. Pure Burton.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But let's not forget, at its heart, Pee-wee's Big Adventure is a story about a stolen bike.
Right. A simple premise.
But it becomes so much more than just recovering a lost possession.
Oh, definitely. That bike, it's almost like a symbol.
For Pee?
Well, for Pee-wee's innocence and childlike wonder, maybe.
Okay, yeah. So when it's stolen, it's more than just a material loss.
It disrupts his whole world, challenges his way of life. It's a big deal for Pee-wee.
And that sends him off on this epic journey.
Cross country.
From his sunny neighborhood to the dusty plains of the West.
Like a modern-day Odyssey.
Filled with those strange encounters and larger-than-life characters.
Now, speaking of encounters, we have to mention some of those unforgettable moments, like Pee-wee and the biker gang.
Oh, yeah, that's a classic.
The classic underdog story, with Pee-wee using his absurdity to get out of a dangerous situation.
What makes that scene so effective, though? On paper, it seems ridiculous. Pee-wee in his suit doing this awkward dance to impress a group of bikers.
Well, it's the juxtaposition, I think. You have Pee-wee, the embodiment of innocence, thrown into this world of, well, tough bikers.
And the contrast is just naturally funny.
But it's also how Reubens plays it, There's sincerity there.
A real belief that his dance will work.
Exactly. And surprisingly, the bikers buy it.
They totally do. Maybe it's his optimism or the sheer ridiculousness of it all, but they're won over.
Completely.
It's like a reminder that laughter can bridge any divide, even between Pee-wee and a biker gang.
Absolutely. And, oh, we can't forget large Marge.
The truck stop waitress.
With that unforgettable face. When it transforms, pure nightmare fuel. You remember what claymation is, right?
Of course. For those who might not, it's a stop-motion animation technique using clay figures to create movement, frame by frame.
Yeah, it was popular back then, and, it still has that creepy charm, especially in Burton's hands.
He uses it to create something truly unsettling.
But you can't look away. And get this. Large Marge's face, that was the work of the Kyoto brothers.
No way.
Yes, the same artists who created killer clowns from outer space. Talk about a connection.
So, double the nightmare fuel. But let's be honest. Pee-wee's Big Adventure isn't all jump scares and strange encounters.
Yeah.
There's real heart in this film.
A sweetness beneath the absurdity.
A sweetness that I think is a big part of its charm. It captures that sense of childlike wonder and celebrates being different.
Yeah, I totally agree. Like, Pee-wee sees the world through a different lens,
Yeah.
He finds joy in these little things, beauty in unexpected places.
Like that scene at the drive-in.
Yeah.
He's just mesmerized by the dancing hot dog and that giant soda cup.
It's so simple, but it really shows how he finds delight in the ordinary.
And speaking of delight, We can't forget that incredible score.
Oh, the music.
So playful and quirky, it just perfectly captures the film's energy.
Danny Elfman at his best.
This was his first major Hollywood project, right?
It was.
So how do you think his music elevates the film, beyond just being a funny visual spectacle?
I think it adds this depth and emotion to scenes that could have been just slapstick. Like, remember when Pee-wee's bike is finally revealed at the Warner Bros. Studio?
Yeah.
The music swells with this grand, almost operatic theme, and it's played totally straight, which makes the absurdity even funnier.
It really does, and you can feel Pee-wee's joy and relief in that moment.
And the music just amplifies it.
Tenfold. It's the perfect example of how Elfman's score works on multiple levels.
Blending humor and genuine heart.
Now, this film wouldn't be the same without Paul Reubens' performance.
Absolutely not.
He completely inhabits the character of Pee-wee Herman.
Like, it's hard to imagine anyone else capturing that blend of childlike innocence and just pure enthusiasm.
Yeah, it's a performance that could have been a caricature.
Easily.
But he brings this real humanity to Pee-wee.
Even in those ridiculous moments, you can sense that genuine heart.
Yeah, and it's interesting how Reubens developed this character for the stage first.
Oh, yeah. Years honing those mannerisms and that voice.
And that unique way of moving.
It all comes together so seamlessly in the film.
You can tell it's a product of passion and collaboration.
100%.
You have Reubens' vision for the character, Burton's eye for visuals, and then Elfman capturing the emotion through music.
All those elements coming together perfectly.
And that collaborative spirit is what makes the film so special.
It really is.
It's not just a showcase for one person. It's the magic that can happen when creative minds just click.
And trust each other.
I think Pee-wee's Big Adventure
Mm.
also really impacted comedy as a genre.
How so?
It showed that you can make a successful film that's silly and smart, heartwarming, and completely bonkers.
It broke away from those traditional formulas.
It didn't fit in any box.
And that's what made it so refreshing.
And it's never mean-spirited.
No.
There's a genuine sweetness to the humor,
Like, Pee-wee sees the good in everyone.
even when they prove him wrong.
That's a big part of its appeal.
It makes you laugh, but it also warms your heart.
A film that makes you smile, but also think.
About embracing the absurd and finding joy in the unexpected.
And let's not forget the visual legacy.
Oh,
Pee-wee's Big Adventure really launched Tim Burton's career.
showcasing his style and his ability to blend humor and that macabre feel.
It's both timeless and distinctly Burton-esque.
You can see hints of Beetlejuice and Edward Scissorhands in it.
It's amazing how this film, with its simple story, had such a big impact.
On filmmaking and pop culture.
It gave us a beloved character, launched a director's career, and inspired so many others.
And yet it still feels totally unique.
One of a kind.
There's something about Pee-wee's Big Adventure that just defies categorization.
Like it exists in its own little universe.
A testament to imagination and creative freedom.
It reminds us that the most unexpected journeys
Can lead to the greatest adventures.
Yeah, and that it's okay to embrace your inner child and never be afraid to be yourself.
That's a message that resonates with everyone.
It does.
We talked a lot about the humor and visuals,
Right.
but Pee-wee's Big Adventure also has something to say about childhood loss and finding your identity.
It works on so many levels.
That stolen bike, it's more than just a symbol.
Definitely.
Pee-wee is holding on to this piece of his childhood.
And when it's gone,
He has to face a world that's not always so easy.
a world that can be harsh.
It's almost a coming-of-age story disguised as a road trip.
That's a great way to put it.
Pee-wee faces all these challenges, but he never loses his sense of wonder or his faith in people.
Like a modern-day Peter Pan.
Refusing to grow up.
But still having to confront the fact that the world doesn't always play by his rules.
Like that scene at the Alamo?
Oh, yeah.
He's convinced there's a secret basement,
Filled with treasure.
and then bam, it's
Yeah.
just a gift shop.
His disappointment is heartbreaking, but hilarious.
It shows how our childhood dreams sometimes clash with reality.
It's a part of growing up.
Letting go of illusions and accepting that the world isn't always magical.
But the film isn't saying we should abandon our childlike wonder. It's about finding a balance.
Between innocence and experience.
Embracing the absurd, but accepting reality
And Pee-wee finds that balance.
in his own way.
He learns some tough lessons, but he never loses his optimism or his ability to find joy.
That's a powerful message.
Especially today.
When the world pushes us to conform and be cynical,
Pee-wee's Big Adventure reminds us it's okay to be different, to embrace our quirks.
and to keep believing in the power of imagination.
So we've talked a lot about Pee-wee's Big Adventure,
We have.
from its beginnings to its impact on film. But before we wrap up, I want to go back to something you mentioned.
What's that?
The films look at childhood and becoming an adult,
Oh, yeah, it's definitely there throughout the film.
sometimes in subtle ways.
Like hidden messages.
On the surface, it's all about childlike wonder and imagination.
Right.
But there's this tension between innocence and experience.
Between being a kid and facing the real world as a grown-up.
Like when Pee-wee meets different people on his journey.
Uh-huh.
Remember that scene with the creepy truck driver
Oh, yeah?
telling that disturbing story?
It's funny, but also kind of scary.
It reminds us that the world isn't always safe and predictable.
Especially as we grow up.
And Pee-wee embodies that tension.
How so?
He's an adult, but he sees the world like a child.
He loves toys and cartoons.
Caresses in a way that makes him stand out.
And he always believes in people.
Even when they let him down,
Almost like he doesn't want to grow up.
like Peter Pan.
But he still has to face reality.
Like at the Alamo,
That scene?
he thinks there's a secret basement full of treasures. It's just a gift shop.
Total letdown.
It's funny, but it shows how our childhood dreams can be crushed.
Yeah, growing up means letting go of some of those illusions.
Accepting that the world isn't always magical.
It's tough.
But the film doesn't say we should lose that childlike sense of wonder.
Not at all.
It says there's a way to be an adult and keep that spark
To find a balance
between innocence and experience.
between the absurd and the real world.
And Pee-wee does that.
He does.
He learns some hard lessons, but he never loses his optimism.
Or his ability to find joy.
It's a powerful message, I think.
Especially nowadays.
When we're told to fit in and be cynical,
Pee-wee's Big Adventure tells us to embrace our quirks.
to never stop imagining.
Exactly.
So after all this, what's the big takeaway from Pee-wee's Big Adventure?
Why does it still connect with people after all these years?
I think it gives us a break from the real world,
An escape.
a reminder that laughter can fight cynicism.
It celebrates being different.
It tells us to enjoy the simple things and to be ourselves, even if that means being a little weird.
A little weird is good.
It's a timeless classic,
It is.
showing that the most unexpected journeys can lead to the best adventures.
And as Pee-wee would say,
I know you are, but what am I?
classic Pee-wee.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into Pee-wee's Big Adventure.
This